Hi guys, and welcome to another episode. Today I am joined by two gentlemen who I'm really excited to speak to. And I'm really excited to speak to you guys for a couple of different reasons. Number one, of course, I've been speaking to Ali for a while, who's always really approachable, cool, polite. Number two, you guys are bringing a stablecoin to EOS. Like, we need this. And I think that there's a lot of reasons why I'm intrigued. So I just wanted to say welcome, James. Welcome, Ali. It's a pleasure to have you here today. And I'm looking forward to talking to you about AAA Reserve.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We're really glad to be here. Cheers, man.
Cheers. So what exactly is kind of your experience in the space, and how did you guys end up on EOS starting a stablecoin?
Sure, it's a good question. Personally, I've got a background in technology. I've spent about 25 years, I'm showing my age, in technology industry, and specifically developing code for a variety of different applications. The last 10 years, I've been specializing in finance and the finance industry. So I've dealt with quite a lot of different applications within that and built a lot of different websites and systems within the finance sector. So about 2017, we started to take a look at crypto. And with the what we saw was the fluctuations in the prices of crypto, which, I mean, pretty much everyone watching this will know about just how crazy it's been, and a heck of a ride for a lot of people. What we realized, though, is there was something missing, which was a level of stability.
Yeah.
When you can buy a coin in the morning and it's worth treble the price in the afternoon, that's great. That's great fun. But if you then wanted to use that to buy a cup of coffee, and suddenly you realize that cup of coffee has cost you the same amount as a Lamborghini, then you've got a concern about that. Or similarly, you might go and, it could drop the next day. You might think this is great. I've got, my Bitcoin, and tomorrow I'm going to go buy a Lamborghini, and then the next day you can buy a cup of coffee with it. There isn't we recognize the fact that people do need stability. You do need, especially in industries where in countries where you have things like mortgages and rent to pay, you need to know that you can make that rent every month, irrespective of what's going on in the crypto world. So we realized that by creating a coin that is underpinned by a basket of fiat currencies, and we'll talk a bit more about that later, we can give a level of stability. And the coin actually is attached to something with real world value. And it means that you don't get those fluctuations. It means that you can buy a cup of coffee and know tomorrow it's going to cost about the same. That's the beauty of it, really.
Yeah.
And that can then be applied for a whole different raft of things. It can be used for transactions. It can be used for traders who have got, who've just made a boatload of cash and want to get out of there quick, but they want to know how much it's worth. It can be used in those situations, and a wide variety of other things. Yeah, we were very excited by that as a prospect, because some of my business partners are very dull accountants, and they wanted the boring part of crypto, which is how can we be safe and sane and stable. So that's what we got excited by, was bringing something to the community that seemed to be needed, and had some clever maths behind it, and offered a level of stability.
Yeah, we're going to dig into some of that in a little while. I think that it's needed for adoption of EOS too. I mean, like this. Until you can place a little bit of a surety into the system where people can go to sleep, or maybe, for example, as we kind of spoke about previously, if you've got to pay employees or whatever it might be, like, we need something that has that stable marker. And it's just been, switching into USDT is you get killed by funds, by fees, every little move you make, and plus you're often, sending it to exchange as well, which a lot of people aren't going to want to do. So I think that it's a great idea. I think that it's needed for adoption. How would you, obviously stablecoin is something that does not fluctuate. What are some of the reasons why a stablecoin, in your opinion, might be needed on EOS?
Well, I think that EOS is a perfect fit for a stablecoin. So I'll kind of go about that question a little bit of a different way, if you don't mind. Because we looked at EOS, we started off on Ethereum, and we built the coin in almost a year ago now. We built it on Ethereum. And we then we sort of released it as an alpha with a couple $100,000 worth of coins out there between people we knew, to see how the stability worked and to kind of prove its model. So then when we came around ready to launch that out to the real world about 6 months later, once we were happy that we're happy with how it performed, that it was stable, we were looking at Ethereum and realizing that, hang on, it's going to cost you a fortune to transfer this. So if you want to pay something that's only one AAA, so about $1 or a pound, then you're going to end up spending a serious percentage of that to move that coin around, and then you're going to have to stand there and wait for 12 hours, which is nuts. So imagine if you're stood in the shop and you're trying to buy a loaf of bread, and you're tapping your card against the machine, or you're putting your card in, and you have to stand there for 8 hours while it's waiting. The queue is going to be huge. So it's that kind of thing that we saw. Was Ethereum made it impossible for it to be something that I kind of dream about it being, which is a real world currency that people can actually transact in and transact fast in. And it just wasn't possible on Ethereum. Yep. And when we saw EOS, we realized that it was solving a couple of problems for us in terms of moving towards that dream, which is fast transactions. You can tap that credit card, it's gone, which is magic, which is fantastic. Also, free transactions, because the other thing is if you're going for a low amount, so if you're trying to pay someone 50p or 50 cents, you don't want to have to pay another 25 or 50 or £5 on top of that to then make that transaction happen. And that's what EOS gave it. So EOS suddenly took our stablecoin concept and made it into something that can be used in the real world as well as the crypto world as an actual viable currency. So that's why we're excited about it. And why the EOS network needs it, there's nothing out there. There's nothing on it at the moment, and I'm sure there's others coming. There's a lot of people talking. But what we want to do is not just give you a stable coin. We don't want to give you another Tether. We want to give something to the community, and that's really what is the goal of this project for us, is we're looking for community involvement. We're looking for it to be community-led. Hence, that's why it's a not-for-profit, which I know you're going to say, well, where do you get your money from? But we'll talk about that in a moment. What we can achieve by that is getting the community to drive us in what they need and tell us what they want, and build a coin based around that, as opposed to one that's just going to make people rich or or work best for a particular exchange. It really can be a community-led coin. So something we're hoping to do is not only have a standard coin contract, but then release a voting contract on top of it, similar to you do in EOS at the moment, to actually garner feedback from the community in terms of moves we can make. So additional currencies to go into the basket, major board decisions, all that kind of stuff could be pushed out to the community to ask for a vote on. So the community has a voice in the running of this coin. It's not just us telling you, here is a stable coin and you should use it because there's nothing else out there. It's literally, here's a stable coin, it's for you. Please tell us how you want it to work. That's what we're going for. Love it, man. So where do you get your money from? We must all wait it.
No, of course, everybody needs to eat, right? I understand that you're building this, but I think that's one of the main questions that's going to come to people's mind. How's it going to work? How are you guys going to put food on your table?
Yeah, of course, and it's an absolutely fair question. It's been funded to date by one of our parent company, if you like, has funded this, bringing it this far. As it moves forward, it is not-for-profit. That's designed to, it's not going to have massive overheads. It's not going to cost a lot to run. What we do is, when we take in monies, we avoid inflation. And the way that happens is, if you imagine let's say we've got $1 million in the US dollar pot that we have, and we'll keep about $800,000 of that in cash, so that it's liquid and you can get it out quickly, and about $200,000 will be invested in sort of low yield bonds. And the idea being on that is that pot of money, if there's nobody else changes, no transactions, will be worth $1 million plus about 2% at the end of the year, 1.5%, which takes it up. So it's in line with about inflation. That means that our coin, if you're holding one AAA, will be worth in fiat terms slightly more than it was at the start of the year if you hold it for a year. But in real terms, because of inflation, you'll still be buying about the same amount of things with it. That's quite a tricky one to explain. I hope it's okay. In handling, and we'll do that for each of the currencies, so we'll keep a percentage. And there is an investment management fee on that, which is only small. You're only talking about less than 0.5%. That will then be collected by us, and that helps kind of keep the lights on and keep the wheel moving. It's not going to make any of us rich because the amount we're dealing with is tiny. We're not going to be driving around in Ferraris, unfortunately, from this particular project. But that's the idea. That's how it keeps the lights on.
Yeah, that makes sense. So into kind of guaranteed savings that give a guaranteed return, most of that goes to beat inflation, and then a small portion of that makes sure that you have energy and you're not eating craft dinner.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm not a big fan of mac and cheese. What can I tell you?
Yeah, no, I like it. I think it's great. The recent kind of nightmare with the US dollar tether was kind of interesting, and it came largely from a perception perspective, where people lost a lot of faith in the coin because of a lot of things that were being said. How exactly are you guys going to aim to prevent that?
Well, I mean, it was a really big, as you've identified, that was a matter of faith in Tether, and you've got to question why. Why was that faith suddenly lost? And my understanding of it was that Tether keeps a $1 amount per Tether in a bank account, but nobody's seen the bank account. That seemed to be my understanding of it, and forgive me if I'm oversimplifying on that one. And that kind of caused the mad rush on it. So we're trying to be very open and very public about it. So the first thing is on our website, you can see the amounts that are listed in each bank account, which is fine. It's a website. You could say, well, you could change those numbers. We operate in a regulated space. And what that means is the Jersey government and financial authority had to sign off on what we were doing. So we have to report into them regularly on what is happening and how much money we've got in each account. And they double check that. If those aren't there, then we go to prison. It's quite simple. And the way it's been structured as well is there is a trust above us, and that trust has people on the board. That's not all just me and Ali. It's not that. We've got external people as well from Jersey that are hired to oversee us and to make sure we're doing what we say. So there's these sort of levels of protection we've put into it. So it's quite a simple one. If it's not there, if we run off with it, we go to prison, and they know where we live. So that's how it works. So it's really being open. We try to be as open as possible through the website, is what you can see, and we have that third party oversight by a government body as well that is checking what we're doing.
Yeah, being in the regulated space, of course, is huge, and then kind of the open transparency. I like it, man. Like, this is needed. What's kind of the timeline for this? Like, when are you guys planning on releasing this?
The coin is currently, as I said, it's on Ethereum at the moment, and we're looking to transfer it across to EOS over the next few weeks. So my goal is certainly before Christmas is to have this up and running on EOS. We've been reaching out to block producers and the such, and they've been great or very enthused about this and happy to help. So they're going to be checking over our code over the coming couple of weeks to make sure that we've not done anything too daft, that it's all kosher, it's all above board.
Yep.
And once that's done, then there's a couple of other little boxes we've got to tick, but then we'll look to release, and we'll be reaching out to people to start using it, because really, if no one uses it, it doesn't work. So that's what we'll be doing, is asking people to start using that coin.
Yeah, I saw the form on your website. I'm going to snag some up. I'd like to definitely support you guys in what you're doing, because I think that it's really important that we get a stable coin on EOS, because quite frankly, I am sick of trying to convert my funds over to Ethereum or Bitcoin and getting killed along the way. If I need to do a transaction, or if for whatever reason it might be. So I think that it's great. I think that it's needed. Where can people kind of find out more about the project, and where can people reach out to you if they want to get involved?
Yeah, no problem. AAA That's the best place to start, which is the website. We'll be keeping posts up to date on that in terms of what's happening, and you can sign up on there as well.
Great. Yeah, I love it. I think that it's we need this on EOS. We've needed this for a while, so it's cool that you guys are finally putting it together. It's appreciated. I, for one, will be using it, and I hope that we can kind of continue to do updates. Is there anything else you guys want to say to any token holders out there, or anything else that you want to chat about?
Well, really, if you guys can, like I say, we need it. We're hopefully doing this for all of you guys, not to buy Porsches and Ferraris, as I said earlier. So we really want to hear your feedback. We really want you to be involved, and we really want to give you something that you can use. So, feel free to message us and tell us what you need or what you think's right or wrong with it. That would be great. We want this to be a community-led thing. We don't want this to be, us dictating what happens to you. This is for you guys. So, let us know.
I love it, man. You guys have good intentions. Regulated coin on EOS, 0 fee. We've been waiting for this for a long time. I encourage everybody to go check you out. I'm going to write all your links below. And thanks so much for coming in, doing the interview, and looking forward to using AAA Reserve myself.
Excellent. Thanks so much for your time today. Cheers, man.
See you, Ali. See you soon. Bye.